Hi, Chris Kuzmal here. The last two videos, we got to the point where we were able to modify a Hello World program that removed all the white space. By the way, I didn't remember why we used this \s instead of just space. The \s actually gets rid of not just spaces, but tabs and funky things that are white space that you wouldn't necessarily know are even there. So that's sort of a nice modification to an improvement over just removing literally spaces. So that's what we did before. And amazingly enough, we're ready to write a method that does it all. And you might be, why? I barely know how to do Java. That's right. So we're going to assume someone else has helped us out. We're going to assume someone else wrote a method that tells us whether or not a particular logical sentence is simple. They didn't tell. We haven't figured out whether or not a logical sentence is overall legal, but someone's given us something that tells us whether it's simple. And we're also going to assume that someone else wrote a method that tells us whether the logical sentence is complex. And so with both of those things in our place, having been done for us, all we really need to do is remove the spaces. Somebody gives us a string, we're going to remove the spaces because we're going to assume the person who wrote the checkers for complex and simple did not allow for spaces, did not check for spaces. And we're now going to write the code. And the way we're going to write the code is we're actually going to use some of our skills in badoom, bading logic. Okay, this is the entire code. Now there's some declarations up here, public static Boolean, that we haven't talked about. You're going to see them over and over again. The key word up here that you will care about at all is Boolean. It means that the method called legal produces a value that is either true or false. That's what the type of Boolean corresponds to. Another thing you'll need to know about and pay attention to is that inside the parentheses after the name of a method is a parameter. In this case, it's the string that we're checking to see whether it's legal. We're declaring that its type is string, and we're saying that while we're in this method, we're going to give it the name S. Okay, so the first thing we do is that line of code that we practiced before in the Hello World program, that you replace all causes S to not have any white space in it. And then we do a return, which is to say what we give back when someone invokes the legal method. We are in turn going to invoke that simple method that someone else already wrote for us and the complex method that somebody else already wrote for us. And we're going to do a disjunction. Now, the symbol for disjunction here is a double vertical bar. Normally in formal logic, we might use a single vertical bar. But in Java, the syntax is slightly different. The syntax calls for a double vertical bar. But guess what? That's it. We're done. This method determines whether any logical sentence is legal. Now, you may feel like we're cheating because we have used the methods simple and the methods complex that someone else wrote for us. And you're right, we've cheated. But guess what? We are going to write those methods next. We have broken the problem into two smaller problems. One to write the simple method, the method called simple, and the other to write the method called complex. For the moment, we could just make it so that they always say true. We could actually write the methods, these helper methods. We call them helper methods because they helped us write the other method. And for the moment, we could just make it so that simple returns true and complex returns true, and that's it. Now, of course, that means that our method will agree that everything that it receives is every string S. It will say, well, that's a legal logical sentence. So it's going to be wrong, but it's going to be wrong because simple and complex are wrong, not because legal itself is wrong. And that's where I think we'll stop for the moment.